Is Nahida must pull? If you are building Dendro teams, the answer is 100% yes. You do want Nahida. So the 3.2, the live stream just came out, and there was a giant release for Nahida, the Dendro Archon, who is going to be coming out in the start of the 3.2 version and going to be the best overall character for Dendro teams. The reason she's going to be super powerful is because she is going to have two different facets to her for her elemental skill, as well as passive abilities that are going to be very, very good. And the second reason is going to be for her Dendro application. These two things are going to make her a very strong character for all Dendro teams coming out. And the thing that I want to talk about the most is going to be what role she's going to fulfill in teams. First, we're going to be talking about her elemental skill. This is going to be an ability that links other ability characters together and does damage that can be on field or off field with Dendro cores, or with, you know, other reactions that are from Dendro, like aggravate and spread through quicken. It's going to all be done through burning, etc. There are a lot of different ways of triggering this reaction, and they only showed a small amount of things that can be done in the live stream, but there are many other ways of triggering this and making it very, very powerful. So I'm not sure why they didn't want to show everything, but they only showed a small amount. The elemental skill has a tap function or a hold function that you can use in order to trigger against multiple enemies and lasts for a significant duration. It can also be used, you know, in cool ways in the open world, which is, you know, awesome. Because I hate pressing F all the time. No, wait, I don't. That doesn't bother me. The next ability, of course, is going to be the Illusory Heart, which is going to be her ultimate ability, and this is going to create a nice domain expansion from Jujutsu Kaisen, and this is going to be probably the overall interesting ability because it's the biggest range ability in the entire game, and creates the amazing domain expansion where you basically are able to get boosted abilities through Nahida, where her abilities get boosted and either trigger faster through Electro, or do more damage through Pyro, or the domain actually gets increased in duration through Hydro. So all of which are very interesting to see. So the two main things that we're going to be talking about today are going to be things that are going to be linked with Nahida, that because of this giant domain expansion that are possible, as well as her elemental skill. And the major two teams that we are going to be most interesting are going to be the two characters that have come out for 5-star characters, which are going to be the aggravate and spread teams, as well as going to be the bloom teams that you can kind of see on the field right now. All right, so Nahida in a team composition is going to be very interesting, because what she's going to do is replace the Dendro Traveler, right? The Dendro Traveler right now is an insanely powerful character in content, and overall just is an EQ character. And seeing how Nahida is exactly the same, where she's kind of an elemental scale, elemental burst character, she's going to be a very good character for Dendro team composition going forward. Aggravate teams in general, right now, this is the overall best aggravate team in Genshin. There's nothing better than this. We have Kazuha providing percentage damage on the team that is also giving us a swirl effect, which is triggering the Viridescent Venerer, giving percentage damage and giving attack percentage from his weapon, which is going to be the Freedom Sword, right? So Freedom Sword is giving attack percentage and then also some normal attack percentage, okay? Second character will be Nahida, who's providing sub DPS and also triggering the Dendro reaction, which is very, very important. Very good character in general. Third character being your primary DPS, which is going to be Sino. Most people use her. Some people use Kaching. Some people will use other characters like Raiden Shogun, but that's your main aggravate character. Okay, whatever character you can use. Now Sino will obviously be the best and most boosted, but you know that's what we're talking about. And the last character will be Kuki Shinobu. She fits the actual perfect role for all aggravate teams going forward, and actually has perfect weapon access right now for 2 different supporting weapons for her builds. So the best weapon for her right now is going to be the Key of Kaj-Nazut. The Key of Kaj-Nazut is actually an insanely good weapon for Nahida teams and Sino teams going forward. This is the ultimate supporting weapon for a character like Kuki, who can use HP to then transfer the healing to herself, and also use that same amount to then boost Elemental Mastery. This allows her to get Elemental Mastery on herself, which will then help her reactions for aggravate, etc. So now she is able to double up with this weapon and do very well. So Kuki Shinobu can also provide a Millith buff and Elemental Mastery buff, so she's giving Elemental Mastery and Attack to Sino, providing the most amount of buffs to one character. So every single character on this team will flow perfectly to Sino and give him the maximum style of buffs that you possibly can, and doesn't actually create conflicting reactions like overload or burning or aggravate like you would have with Bennett. So there are too many issues with using a character like Bennett instead of Kuki Shinobu, because Bennett creates overload and fucks with the reactions, so he creates way too many problems. Using a character like Sarah is also problematic because then your team does not have a healer or any type of protection. So if you're not perfectly dodging on every single character on your entire team, you eventually will die, of course. So no matter what, Sarah can work. It's just that Kuki is better because she's more well suited for the situation. Okay. With Sino, you also have the weapon that gives all elemental mastery gets transferred to attack, which is the Staff of Scarlet Sands. So that means the elemental mastery boosting that you're going to get from Nahida, the percentage damage boost from Mikazuha, and the elemental boost from Kuki is all going to be funneled into one character, which is going to be your hyper carry character. And that's going to be a very powerful thing right now for Sino teams. Now, since Nahida right now is going to have this one mechanic that's going to make her absolutely broken as a sub DPS. Okay? If you want to know what the mechanic is that makes her absolutely broken as a sub DPS, it has everything to do with internal cooldown. So the character in question that is the most broken character for free-to-play players in Genshin and budget players in general is Giga. All right, she is the most important character in all teams, and the reason that she's very important is because when Zhangling attacks, you can trigger vaporizes every single time the wheel spins around her, which allows her to hit extremely hard on area of effect or single target. Okay? And every time that the wheel spins, you can react. If you can react every single time, your damage goes way the frick up. Traveler, unfortunately, is bound by standard internal cooldown. So I'll show you how Traveler works out in the team right now, and you can tell me what you're going to look for is the aggravates on Traveler and the amount of times that Traveler aggravates. What you're looking for is the amount of times spread is going to happen on a target. So we're going to go ahead and drop the Traveler, do the whole thing. Now we're looking for the green numbers. We're looking for this quicken spread reactions. How often do they happen on one target or multiple targets? All right, watch the green. We're seeing the quicken reaction, we're seeing the spread reaction, but we're not seeing it frequently enough. And there's barely any green numbers on the screen, right? Barely any. So let's do this just one target left here. We're looking for the green numbers. Not a lot of quicken spreads. They're happening very infrequently, right? The low numbers on quicken, you're seeing it. It goes from 3,000 to 9,000, right? That's what I'm seeing too. Okay. 3,000 to 9,000, 3,000 to 9,000, 3,000 to 9,000 every time, right? Low of 3,000, high of 9,000. Okay. Now the 3,000 is when it doesn't react, because we gave Traveler high elemental mastery and no crit, so that we could just see the consistent numbers. Okay. The low number is non-reaction. The 9,000 is the reaction. Now, what if it was 9,000 every single time? If it was 9,000 every single time, that'd be quite good. Right? Especially if you could add crit to that. Okay? If we look at Zhangling, and Zhangling's able to do the same thing, we're hit for about 10,000 every single time, right? But then you add on other snapshots, reactions, etc., then the damage will jump up even further. So Traveler right now is missing all kinds of crit chance and crit damage, all kinds of attack percentage, everything you could possibly imagine Traveler's missing. Okay? And we're transferring all of her stats to other characters. But what if we could take, instead of having those problems on the character, what if we could do the same thing that we're doing to Sino on this team composition, right? Right now, everybody on this team composition is feeding to Sino. But what if they fed to Sino and Nahida? What if every character fed 2 different DPS instead of 1? That creates a broken team. That's the Zhangling Tartaglia situation. That's the same situation as Ayato and Zhangling, all that. You're then boosting 2 characters on one team, not just one. So that means that you have 1 sub DPS doing damage and the other character who's the main character doing damage too. And if both characters are doing high levels of damage, that creates a broken team composition. Actually, for weapons. Okay, so 4 weapons for Nahida. Before the character comes out, we don't know anything about constellations, but we do. But we do. Do not summon for Nahida's weapon unless there's a big reason. I'll go over it in a minute. Okay, do not summon for Nahida's weapon. Constellations will be better. Just a tip, heads up beforehand. She's gonna be like riding Shogun in levels of constellations. If you are a Miko main, Kagura's Verity will be spicy meatball. Okay, so if you wanted to use the Kagura's Verity on Nahida, it's good. Okay. 4-star weapon wise, the weapons that are going to be good are Wandering Evanstar. This weapon's going to be awesome. Widzit will be okay, but it'll fall off very quickly. Sacrificial Fragments and Mappa Mare will be the like free to play options. So those are the ones you're going to want to work toward. The other weapons in the game, like the Solar Pearl, etc., these are all going to kind of suck. Every other catalyst is going to be very mid on her. So the Dendro Catalyst that comes out in the craftable option is also pretty bad. So the best option for 4 stars is going to be Wandering Evanstar. The math kind of supports that Widzit will have the biggest spike, but the problem with the biggest valley is way too big. So Wandering Evanstar is probably the most consistent boost for your team compositions. And seeing as she's a pseudo sub DPS support anyways, it's probably the best option. But if you don't have that option, of course, Sacrificial Fragments, Mappa Mare, all that. Axe for Nahida. Now, as you can see, I have a giant wall of artifacts, and there are going to be 4 different possible artifact builds for Nahida. I've been asked in chat exactly what the best build is for Nahida, and I'm going to go. The reason I have not actually answered them is because it's very complicated. Because Nahida is a character that's going to be a sub DPS character with multiple different team compositions, and her role in the team compositions will vary. Now, the first composition for Nahida will be as a spread or aggravate character, which will probably be the character composition we're talking about the first. In this particular team composition, there will be 2 different builds for Nahida, which is the Dendro Traveler Initiation. So the first different build that we're going to be talking about is going to be the probable build that you're going to be going for, which is the easiest free to play option. And this is going to be an Elemental Mastery build. This is going to have full Elemental Mastery rolls on the Dendro set, which allows Nahida to provide the most possible boost to the entire team composition and give you everything you could possibly need for boosting it. But the thing is, if you're going to go for a full Elemental Mastery boosted team, is that team going to be good for boosting damage on Nahida herself? The answer is it'll be okay. Okay, her damage will be okay because she is going to have mechanics that are going to allow her to get more crit chance and crit damage and different things, very similar to stat transfers from other characters. So full Elemental Mastery is fine. Energy Recharge is not going to be a stat that you need on Nahida from what I can tell, so it's kind of out. Now, the build, though, that I think is going to be a better build for the Aggravate team instead of the Elemental Mastery build is going to be a crit build. Now, I think I ended up putting this on Razor, right? I think so, yeah. So what you're going to want on a Nahida build is actually going to be a crit chance and crit damage build. You're going to want to build on a Dendro Cup and a crit chance or crit damage headpiece with an Elemental Mastery Sands. And you want to fill those teams with as much crit chance and crit damage as possible, as well as Elemental Mastery. Now, the reason this composition of artifacts is going to be the best overall composition for artifacting for Nahida is because of the way that spread reactions work. Okay, spread reactions are the reactions that happen on top of aggravate reactions. Where's I think the second site here on Magu? I think if we just get to Magu Kenki, it's a lot easier to showcase this, correct? I'm fairly certain Magu Kenki will be way easier to show this information, right? Everything else will be way too difficult. I don't think I have artifacts on like any of these characters, but it should be fine, right? We don't need to try that hard. So for spread, to boost the spread damage on a crit build, this is how the critting will look on the spread build when critting more frequently on the Dendro character. If you can crit very consistently on the Dendro character and get lots of spread hits, that will boost the damage significantly. Why can I? Oh, it's not cool though. So the goal is to boost the team as much as possible while using these types of reactions. Okay? And if you can get high Dendro damage on targets at the same time as you can the electro damage from aggravate. That will boost the damage significantly. When you don't have Dendro at the same time, your damage will drop, and you need to boost the damage by getting both of the elements on the target. Build on Nahida with an elemental mastery boost team is going to be a very big build for your Dendro and electro teams. Now, this will allow for very high damage when considering a character like Nahida. Now, the next build for Nahida is going to be for players that play the character Nilo, wherever she is. Compositions in general, the characters that trigger reactions are not going to be Nilo herself or the other Hydro characters. It will actually be the Dendro characters on the team composition. So the overall best artifact build for those characters is going to be a full elemental mastery build on the new artifact set, which is the new Dendro artifact set, or the new elemental mastery set, the Gilded Dream set. And the primary stat that you're going to want on every single artifact is going to be elemental mastery. The reason that this will be very important to get is because when you're using elemental mastery on this set, it will work in tandem with another Dendro character that is using the Dendro set, like the Dendro Traveler, and both characters will be able to get the maximized boost of Dendro reactions for Bloom. Now, if both characters are receiving the maximum boost they possibly can from that, then the character with the most elemental mastery will do the most damage. So that's why you want to go for a full elemental mastery build on one of the characters on the team, namely the Nahida character, that gives the most possible boost to Nahida's Bloom damage. And this will be another build that you could use for any type of Burgeon build that uses 2 Dendro characters or another character on the Dendro set, and other burning reaction builds in the future. This will be the primary set for all of those, is a full elemental mastery build. Now, if you're looking for another build because you're a little bit newer and you do not have as many artifacts, using other artifact sets like the Wanderer Troop set in tandem with a 2-piece Gilded Dream set on Elemental Mastery will work just fine. It will be weaker, but it will be just fine. All right, well, that took a little bit of editing, but that's going to do for this video. My name's Sekapoko. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you guys did, like, subscribe. Let me know if you have thoughts about Nahida in the comment section down below. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.